Welcome, everybody, to another FYC film review. I'm your host, Gagne. With me, my partner, Naldo. How are you, buddy?
What's up, man? How's it going, everybody?
Big treat for everyone today. Our
Mm.
first documentary.
Yeah, our first true crime Indian documentary. This was wild. This was wild, evil, and it caught my attention right away.
Let's get into it because I knew nothing about it, and I'm kind of shocked at what we kind of uncovered here.
Yeah, okay. So it's Curry and Cyanide, the story of Jolly Joseph. That's her name, Jolly Joseph. Um, Man, it it really shows like how evil humans can be, like the true darkness of what they can do to people, and how she was a mom, right? She was a
Yeah.
mom and had nobody even thought that she was capable of this. No, not even the cops. And I feel like I blame the cops in this a lot because they just kind of gave her a pass because I think the sister was saying something like, in India they don't see the mom like that,
Mm-hmm.
so I understand that, but the police got to do their due diligence and check everybody out no matter what.
Yeah, it's fascinating that in multiple occasions where she was the last person to be in contact with these family members that pass away, that they were somehow able to just be like, no, we don't want to do a postmortem, to
Yeah.
find out what happened. No, we don't, think it's her, so we're just going to let it be. And then they get halfway through the story, and with the drama with the family's house and whatnot, that even at that point in time, the family still was just like, well, the father of the children just died, and that was her husband, and we don't want
Yeah.
the kids to be, homeless or without a mother, so we're just going to go ahead and let this slide. And you're just like, there's so many people you could just point the finger and say, you had to stop this at some point. You could have stopped this at some point, whether it was the police or family members. But that was one of the things I felt like I wanted to scream at the television at that point. It was
Right.
just like,
Yeah.
somebody get her away from the family. And I didn't understand what did they need, to see in order for them to go, this is not a trustworthy person.
Yeah, so her husband's sister, I think her name was Renji. I think it was
Hmm.
Renji. She was always on to her. She just little by little she was on to her. But you're right. It took them a while for them to do anything. There was what, six murders, including a 2-year-old, which was
2-year-old,
just
yeah.
awful. It was sick, and it took them what, 14 years to
Yeah.
finally catch up to her.
Hmm.
So I just can't imagine. And then her son too. She had two sons, I believe.
Two sons.
Yeah.
I loved that the sister, finally spoke up and decided to go to the cops with what her ultimately kind of allegations were, that kind of put her at arm's length from the family. And she just said, at that point, like, enough's enough. Like, I needed to get her kids away from her for to stop anything else happening. And she wasn't really worried about it being you know against the family's wishes. And I just
Right.
was like, the hero of the story, and we get to hear from her a lot in this. And she lost a brother and a mom and a
A
dad
mom. Yeah.
and a niece. And it's just like, this poor woman sitting here on the sidelines, like you said, always having suspicion, but finally speaking up, years later, when it's like, enough's enough.
Yeah. It got kind of confusing because there were two people with the name Matthew. There was like an MH
Yes.
Matthew, which was her uncle. No, I think that was her uncle. And there was another Matthew who she had the affair with, who gave her the cyanide. So it got
Yes.
confusing at first. But I think her uncle something, Matthew,
Hmm.
was the first one to say, why don't we do a postmortem on her husband that died?
Right.
So he kind of kicked that off, right? I think that's
Right.
how it happened.
And then she killed him. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
So
just
anytime anybody even remotely crossed her, it seemed, that was when she acted on those things. And
right.
I was pretty impressed for a movie, or a documentary that you can get the information from the internet at this point, that like they were able to build some tension still, knowing that
Absolutely.
these people already died. And when they got to the point where they found out that she wasn't even a teacher, like she had been lying
Yeah.
about it in IT, I was like, wait, what? Like, it just like threw another wrench into like what I was trying to wrap my head around already, which is a wild story about somebody poisoning their entire family.
She played everybody. She played everybody. The mother-in-law, her father-in-law, her husband, her uncle-in-law or whatever.
Hmm.
And then uh and then the 2-year-old that she gave the cyanide at the party, and then her mother. It's brutal. It's so brutal. And for her, and to see her prepare the funeral for all these people and just be there and by the body as she prepared it, like what, like you gotta be really sick and twisted to do something like that and still be able to prepare the body and be there. I mean, I don't know what goes on in someone's mind like that, but it's disturbing.
Yeah, and she, for so long, just denied it and denied it until finally, her son confronts her about it, and she admits. But one of the other things I found wild was that the trial just started. It's
Yeah.
like they're literally still hearing from witnesses and going through a trial for this. They did find uh, what cyanide in a couple of the bodies that they exhumed, but not all of them. Um,
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
of
that's
the
crazy.
one bothersome part of the whole thing was, and I know they need to hear both sides of it, but having her lawyer on the documentary was
Yeah.
infuriating at times because those cutscenes, and hey, kudos to the documentarians. I'm sure they were the ones who decided to do this, but just that contradictory, like smug attitude he had. Well, how could it
Yeah.
be this? Oh, how they never had any evidence of this, and why, this person had just as much motive, and you're just like, I just wanted to, you know,
Yeah.
please,
Yeah.
he's a lawyer. I mean, I just don't know how you can be a defense lawyer. It's got to be so difficult because you're convincing yourself of the truth.
Well, it's funny because even though he's saying that there's no way she could have done it, she blatantly admitted it to her son that she did it.
Yes.
So, this lawyer telling us, no, she's innocent. There's no way. It's like, dude, come on. I mean, like you said, to be a
Yeah.
defense lawyer, you really have to be like, I don't know. Like you really have to believe lies, and
Yeah.
I don't know what goes on in their mind, but it's like it's so plain and obvious that she is guilty from what we've seen. She
Yeah.
confessed it to her son. Like, what more do you want? Like, what more do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. It's documentaries like that are very challenging because you want that happy ending bow tie, like they caught her and it's all done, and then you realize like, well, this is actually still ongoing. So I hope
Yeah,
it works out in the family's favor, but just a wild tale of
I agree. Completely
someone
agree.
just
And
trying to take control of the family. It's weird.
yeah, and like you said, that sister, man, just major props to that sister for taking the kids in and doing what she needed to do. It's incredible, an incredible story. You want to rate it?
Yeah, let's get to it.
You go first.
We've got no like roadmap really for documentaries, so where the
No.
bar is set. I just kind of went with the fact that I enjoyed this. I found it
Yeah.
fascinating and heartbreaking at the same time, but I'm going to give it a 3.
3.
It's a well worth the watch documentary.
Okay, 3. I'm actually gonna go a step up, and I'm gonna give it a 4. I really enjoyed this documentary. Really
Yeah.
enjoyed it for what it was, and I kind of want to see what happens, where it goes next, because this is it's just so evil, man. I don't even know what to say, but the way it was presented to us, it was done really well, and kudos to everybody who had a hand in this because they presented the story really well. Now, are there other parts to the story? I'm sure there are, but for what they gave us, I thought it was done really well. So I'm going to go with a 4. A 4 rating for me.
Solid, and a solid
Yep.
documentary. Definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. Let us know what you think of it and what you thought of the episode. We appreciate you guys watching. I've been your host, Gagne, with me, my partner, Naldo, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, everybody.